I am with Chau today, and she has an incredible practice, um, also in California. So I'm in Southern California, she's in Northern California, and her practice is all focused on perinatal mental health. And she's been in my program for a little bit. And so let's just start with like getting to know you. And, a lot of people watching this video will want to know like where you started and where you're going and where you're at. So let's start with like a little bit about you and your practice.
Okay. Where should I start? Well, first I've been a psych NP or I've been a NP for almost 10 years now, which is hard to
Wow.
believe. And so before this I was working in community health, and then I always knew that I wanted to open my own private practice, but I just didn't know how, and I didn't know when the right timing would be. And so after my second child was born, you just happened to pop up, and your mentorship program was just like right there and had everything I was looking for. And I was like, this is a sign. I think I need to join. And so I'm so grateful that I did, because it really just sped up the process for me. Having a toddler and a newborn, I didn't have time to do all that research. I didn't know who to reach out to. It saved me so much time. Like when people reach out to me asking about the program, I'm always saying like, totally worth it. It was
Oh, thank you.
so amazing. But yeah, so I decided to open through my own experience with postpartum depression and anxiety, and just my work with working with families and women through the years. I decided to open my own private practice in August 2023. So it's been almost 2 years now. Um, and let's see. Yeah, specializing in perinatal and postpartum mental health, but I see a wide range of people, men and women, ADHD, bipolar, all the way to anxiety and depression. So it's been going good though. I've been
Wow.
growing a lot this past year. So since January, things have been really picking up. So yeah, it's been going great.
Good. That's so cool. I feel like that's just it's a lot of people are interested in like perinatal mental health, and it's kind of it seems like it's kind of hard to get the experience in the community because it's almost like there's not a lot of perinatal focused practices. You more kind of get it through like some patients through whatever job you have, right? Um, Before you start. And I know you've done a lot of extra training and stuff like that in that area, which is really awesome. I usually ask how you like found out about the program, but you and I have been friends for a long time. We met at a conference.
RN school, so we weren't even nurses yet at that time.
Mhm.
It's crazy. So yeah, we've
Yeah,
been together over 10 years, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah, yeah. It's wild. I remember that conference so well. Like were you in you weren't in RN yet? I wasn't, I don't
I,
think.
I was still at Samuel Merritt,
Yeah,
trying to finish my accelerated BRN program. So not
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. We
almost.
were both talking about like, should we become NPs? It seems like the next step, after this. And so, yeah,
No.
wow. And so where would you say so your practice has been open a year and a half about, and
Mhm.
where would you say like from where you were like starting setting up everything to where you are now, how long did it take you to set up your practice, and then any like major things to talk about in the in between before we talk about kind of like where your practice is now at the year and a half mark?
Yeah, I would say when I first started out, it was pretty slow for me, but last summer I did a lot of marketing and networking, a lot of one-on-ones,
Hmm.
conferences, going to at therapy groups, a lot of virtual coffee meetings, and continuing that now, still like building that relationship. So I think I did a lot of the groundwork last year, and it's now starting to pay off like a year and couple months later. So
Nice.
I'm still continuing to do that, but it's just starting to what do you call it? I think you mentioned before when we had talked, you're like, once it comes, it's going to be kind of like a snowball effect. And it is happening right now. Like I'm getting referrals from like a handful of therapists consistently. And then I don't know, my algorithm might be working better online. I'm not sure, but I'm getting
Yeah.
from like ZocDoc and Psychology Today. So it's from various places, which is great. So I would say, yeah, at least a year to get me
Mhm.
where I am.
To get to where you are now. Okay. Did you have any doubts in the beginning about like starting a practice, doing a program like this, anything that you were like nervous about?
I actually felt very confident in it, but maybe also I didn't know what it takes to do it. So maybe I had the opposite like feelings, which is weird because I ended up just quitting my job and I just went all in on this. And now looking back, I'm like, maybe I should have, but it's okay. It kind of like was a driving force to work harder.
Yeah.
Um, so I didn't have doubts and I really, and I mean, I knew you
Yeah.
and I know where you were or what you're doing. And so I didn't really have doubts. I just kind of went for it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, you really did. I remember because it was like you took your leave with your baby and didn't go back, right?
Yeah, instead I was like, actually, I'm not be returning, and I'm gonna start my own practice.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great.
Because I
Yeah,
had all the resources that you had like in your program, so I felt like confident that I could execute if I had like the time instead of working
yeah.
at home and just like go for it. That's kind of like where my mind was.
That's like very real. Like I think time is one of the things that holds people back the most. Just like not having enough time
Mhm.
outside of their job, or like, they're working on the weekends, and so it's kind of like a slow build. So that probably was working in your favor to have that all that to have that time. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
actually a number of people that joined during maternity leave, actually.
Yeah, it's like the time to transition, but then looking back, I'm like, why did I decide to start a practice when my son was 6 months old? And it was crazy at that time. It was very hectic, I'm not gonna lie. But I feel also to mention that I'm lucky that I had savings, so I was able to quit my job, and then I have a supportive partner, so the things just fell into place
Yeah,
in that way.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. That makes a lot of sense. And so that was the beginning. The middle was a lot of marketing, which is kind of typical, like that year of just trying to get people to know you're there and taking new patients and everything. So where would you say your practice is now? If you could kind of describe um income or how many patients or just to, yeah, describe where you're at.
Right now I feel like I'm at the stage where I am ready to maybe hire or
Hmm.
scale. And so I took your course, perfect timing. That
Yeah,
was so helpful. I need to give you an update about that. But
good.
I feel like I'm at the point where I am considering hiring. I just hired an assistant a couple weeks ago because I felt so overwhelmed with like charting and just, admin tasks. I have about 80 patients now, but so I'm like booked out at least like 2 or 3 weeks. So I guess I'm kind of wondering, like, how do you know when it's the right time to hire someone? Who do you hire first? So I'm kind of like at this like transition phase where I'm like getting a little like to get almost overwhelmed, but so I'm trying to figure out what next steps are.
For sure.
But like a
Yeah,
problem.
it is. It is a good problem. Yeah, yeah. There comes a couple transition points I'm noticing with people in private practice where like setting up,
Yeah.
obviously getting going, and then like a big change when they're like, oh, okay, I need help. I need to hire. I need to like optimize, grow. It's kind of a realization of like, oh, this is working. What do I do now?
Yes, exactly. That's
Yeah,
why.
for sure. For sure. That's great. And would you say that you're full on patients? Would you say that you're taking new patients? Where are you with that?
I'm still taking new patients, but I have like booking is about 3 weeks out,
Yeah.
just based on the kind of schedule that I have now, which is 3 days a week, but like the whole day, like I'll do evening appointments too.
Yeah.
Mm. So in that sense, yeah, I'm still taking people because I don't know what's going to happen, or I still have the capacity right now, but I might
Sure.
not again.
Yeah. That's awesome. A lot of people have the question of like how something like this income in private practice, how it compares to like a past job or how it compares to having a job at another private practice or community mental health. What would you say like as far as income or sustaining yourself compared to your past job? Where would you say that's at?
I would say that it's definitely making a lot more. So I was at a private practice before when I was in community health, and I happy to share I was making like 125 an hour.
Mhm.
And so now I would say I'm making between like I take insurance like around at least 150 and to a little bit over like $200 an appointment. So that's a half hour appointment. So that kind of gives you a, you know, um, an idea. But
Mhm.
I will say my overhead is not that much. So I'm still kind of trying to pay off my startup costs.
Yeah.
But once I feel like that will be by this summer, and then I will start to be profiting from that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's exciting. It is hard to get through like that first year or two because it's hard to say like I make this amount of money, like it is like you make this amount of money, but it's like also into account of like overhead and startup costs and things like that. And so I think that first year, like you're paying yourself back for some of those startup costs, depending on like some people do it in 3 or 6 months. Some people do it slower over 12 months and then pay themselves and also a little bit more for startup costs. So that kind of gets confusing. But I think that's really exciting because when you say you are making essentially, much more per hour, once you've set up and you have your startup costs, then you get to pay yourself more, obviously. So it builds on itself, which is cool.
Yeah.
Thank you
So
for
it's
sharing. Yeah.
no problem.
Um, anything else about your practice that's would be good for people to know about, like how it looks like? You work 3 days.
I work 3 days, evenings if needed. I was very flexible in the beginning, but now I'm trying to have the schedule that I want and like fit the patients in. And then now I have like other admin tasks that are taking time. So I need like 2 days out of the week to try and catch up or do those things. But I would say the biggest things for me getting the practice going was the one-on-ones. It's a slow process, but it's worth it. And the marketing is just always ongoing. Something that I wasn't too comfortable with, but now like as I've done like so many, it's been getting easier. And what else? Well, what I learned from your course, what I've been doing in the past, like, well, you just like reinforced it, but in the past like couple months since I've gotten busier is just automations, very helpful. And then just delegating tasks in the job and outside of the job. Like those are like some big takeaways that I had. And trying to um plan for those things, I guess, or trying to utilize them to the max, which
Yeah.
takes a lot of like mindfulness thinking to organize things inside of the business and outside and how those like they obviously interact schedule wise. Um, yeah.
Anything else you were going to say? Sorry.
Oh no, I'm trying to think what else. No, I'm just excited for this next part. I'm excited that I am growing and it's getting faster. So I'm just yeah, I think that the course was so helpful in helping me just like set up everything for me to
Yeah.
get here. I don't think I would have gone here as fast.
That's good. That's the goal of it, which is awesome. Yeah, to just like save time, energy, and money so you don't have to like spin your wheels researching, trying to get advice from random people, like on the
There's
internet or
much
yeah,
information out there. So yeah, I'm so grateful.
awesome. Last question is just what would you tell anybody that's considering joining?
Definitely join. If you want to, again, like we just mentioned, like time, money, if you just want to know who's good in, like accounting or legal advice, or even just having a network of other NPs that are trying to do the same thing is so helpful because everyone is kind of, experiencing the same thing. And when you're starting a practice, it could feel lonely. And so it's just nice to have that support and to have you. Um, I think again for me, the biggest thing was just not having that time, but having that drive to do it. So yeah, I would definitely recommend signing up. And I love that you have always like ongoing modules and like speakers that come out. So everything's up to date, especially like with laws, things that are changing with telehealth or um, medications. I just love that it's like always like getting updated and that it's that you're always a part of it. It's not like,
Good.
hey, the session's over or the course is over.
Yeah.
So like that's it. So that's what I really like that too.
Yeah, the lifetime
Yes.
part. Because when I was trying to think of like a time to do it for, like, should it be a year program or 2 years? I just was like, I have no idea. Like, people start on their own timeline. And so I was like, let's just all be a network and support each other. And, I'm sure that at this point, a lot of people benefit from hearing from you and like some of the other members that have been in for a while. So and kind of all help each other. But yeah, thank you for talking to me today about this. And, thank you for recommending the program and sharing your experience. I'm sure it'll help people that are thinking about going down this path. So I appreciate your time, Chau. Thank you.
Of course, anytime.